Good morning. You're watching Morning at NTV. Time for us to take note. You've seen the billboards, you've seen the communications, and you're wondering, what is the big deal? Well, he's one of the most successful self-made leaders in the world. So it'll be a privilege for us to host on the 24th of July the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi. To discuss this, I've got part of the organizing committee, the spokesperson and the co-chair, actually the official spokesperson, Sanjay Tana, and the co-chair of the organizing committee, Pradeep Carrier. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Chair.
I don't think it will be justified for us to just go into Narendra Modi without talking about the Indian community, the business community. You contribute a lot to the economy, and I think both of you are part of this. You're no longer a politician.
Yes.
You're a businessman.
That's true. That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
We don't know why you decided to get out of politics. It'll be a whole conversation, I think, for another day. Another day.
Yes.
But just to paint a picture for those who are watching who might know that the Indian Business Committee is there, it's working, but just the magnitude and its impact.
Of course, you know, when we go back to history, the community has been here for more than 100 years. And like we all know, from the first trader Aldina Visram to today, where the Indian business community contributes more than 65% to the coffers of Uganda in terms of tax and also employment and CSR activities. So all this credit goes to the government for creating an enabling environment to allow us to invest, and of course the president, who has been an advocate of foreign direct investment into Uganda. And I think the visit of the Indian Prime Minister gives us this opportunity to showcase Uganda and attract more investment.
Okay, you've said the government, yes. Pradeep, I'm wondering why it's so favorable for the Indian community to work with the Ugandan community. It's a relationship that has clearly worked over the years and is still working. What makes it work?
It's that give and take process. And like my brother Sanjay has just said, our forefathers came here in the 1800s, and people have got this misnomer that people came for the railway building. No. Our families, if you look at the majority of the Indians who remained here were business people who came specifically for business in the East African zone. And Uganda has been very conducive. You take Honorable Tanna and our families who have never departed Uganda.
This is home.
This is home for us. And I was just telling someone, Sanjay is the third generation of Ugandan. So am I, and I've got a grandson here who's a fifth generation. So that makes us part and parcel. And Ugandans are the most loving people on the continent of Africa. Come rain, come shine. The moment you land into Uganda, and every Indian or European who has arrived at the airport or the borders, I said, is welcome with open arms.
Come in. Yes.
And every country has got its own ups and downs, but Uganda is very conducive.
Okay, it's obviously it's a big deal to have the Prime Minister come and visit. We've had different leaders come into the country, and it's come and gone. But this feels like it's going to make a difference. I was reading about his Make in India. I think this was from back 2014. And we're trying to build Uganda and buy Uganda. And of course, it's shaky. I'm wondering, just apart from Make in India, why or what makes the Prime Minister very important, not just for India or the Indians in India, but the rest of the world? Yes.
You know, when we look at that initiative of his, of Make in India, comparing ourselves to India, for example, India is far ahead in terms of industrialization and productivity. But still, the Prime Minister, when he came to power, initiated Make in India. And his idea was anything high-tech, from planes, from rockets, from everything. And of course, now the success is showing. The defense industry, you're seeing missiles, you're seeing a lot of things that were not originally made in India and imported from the Western world and Russia, are now people are starting to make in India. So our policy, which is very, very similar, like you rightly say, build Uganda, buy Uganda, where the president is also pushing for production of these things within Uganda, though we are still at the initial stages. Now, what makes this, very, very attractive is because India has succeeded using appropriate technology. And that technology is very, very appropriate to Uganda, both in terms of climate, in terms of price, and in terms of usability and durability. The equipment, the machines that mostly are imported from India are appropriate, and the technology is actually appropriate. It's not very highly priced, it's not low, and it's able to deliver what we as Ugandans want to achieve. So basically, you have hit the point, is that we can definitely synergize and build on the successes that these guys have achieved.
Pradeep, someone who's watching and is saying he's the Prime Minister of India, that's it. But Narendra Modi is bigger than just the Prime Minister of India. Talk to us about that.
If you see where Narendra Modi has come from, they say, chaiwala. Chaiwala.
Chaiwala.
Chai.
A tea boy.
Chaiwala.
Chaiwala.
Right.
And you see his dedication, hard work. He came into this politics of the Indian politics of BJP. People were just thinking he's a mediocre. If you see the transformation of Gujarat's economy is comparatively much larger to our economy here.
Yes.
And if you see the network, the industrialization in Gujarat, transformation. What Gujarat used to be at the time of the Indian independence, and in 70 years, it has really taken 10 steps. And if you compare Gujarat to other states in India, it shows someone's dedication and who has got a vision.
Okay. Like
we've got our President Museveni here who's got a vision, boo-boo, this, that. Now, you find this man has also got a vision.
Yes.
But the vision, his vision is to the youth. If you see the youth following now, and the training schemes that he's done for the youth, and how he's getting the people out of the poverty alleviation, he's bringing people up. The first Prime Minister who says open so many accounts, and monies have flown there.
Yes.
Instead of people going to sign for them in the books. No, he said open. You could see transparency taking place. Slowly but surely. People were laughing at the transport network in Gujarat. If you see, it's become the most efficient. And I think people are depicting on some of these things that he has done. And he's got not only his vision for India, but like he's a very strong leader. If you see BRICS, that they're going to go, and you could see this is how many, 4 or 5 countries? And you could see the challenges that the developed economy is having. Yeah. The Germans, the French, the British, when they see this Brazil, South Africa, India, China getting together, they say, hey, what's happening now? What's happening? They sneeze and these guys will have flu. So this is how he's come up and he's dedicated. Yeah.
There's a lot to learn from him, and I'm thinking this visit is going to be very special for Ugandans, outside of hopefully a discussion of how make it in India will eventually be translated here as Boo-Boo. What do you think we can learn from him? What are the advantages of this visit?
Because, like Pradeep has said, we fall on both sides, the Ugandan aspect and the because we are persons of Indian origin. What our wish as the core committee, and what we see is India has been pretty successful in the field of ICT, information technology.
Which is developing here.
Yes. So if at all we can tap into their success stories and replicate them in Uganda. We also have the success story in India of the medicine, in the field of medicine. Yes. We now have a lot of Ugandans or Africans going to India. So why not create facilities in Uganda so that other African countries come to Uganda, to get the same or similar services.
Is it really about the hospital, or is it about the
Yeah, it's both.
experts in the
Exactly,
hospital?
exactly. It is in terms of infrastructure
Yes,
and
definitely.
transfer of skill. So we would want our doctors, we would want their doctors to come here, and our doctors,
Train.
things like kidney
Yeah.
transplant, heart transplant. You know, Mulago has just put in a cath lab, and we would want
Helps
to
with
see.
the cost as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So for us, what we want to encourage both governments is to tap into these potentials. For example, like we were talking of Make in India, and we talked of appropriate technology. Today, India has been able to build one of the world's largest milk plants, a turnkey from rearing cattle to the cheese and butter and etc. It's called Amul, and it's an international success story where they've used cooperatives to from grassroots level. And our president is very passionate. Uganda can produce
like Uganda,
milk.
just on a large scale.
Exactly. So we have we want to encourage the tapping in of those success stories in industry, in medicine, in ICT. Like you rightly said, this guy is iconic. He's like a pop star, and he has a huge following of the youth, like Pradeep said. And to me, I think if we position ourselves, and we are grateful to NTV for providing us this platform, if the media supports us, I think we can tap into the tourism, because India has a huge population of middle class. The people who follow him globally, the non-resident Indians that live in the diaspora, would definitely, if we showcase Uganda, our flora and fauna and the wildlife, then definitely
Bring
we
in the
will.
numbers.
Exactly. And that is one of the growing income earners for Uganda, according to the last budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pradeep, so the committee is, from what I know, this is of course a discussion between two heads of state. But the Indian Business Committee also comes in to have their own discussion. And I'm not selfish to say the president can't be the only representative of Ugandans. Is it that the Indian community will also end up getting whatever information or knowledge and skill and trickle it down to Ugandans? Is that where we come in? Or are we just going to watch as spectators?
No. You see, I'm told Prime Minister Modi is also going to meet the Ugandan business community.
Okay.
And obviously, whatever information will be passed on to us and whatever we learn, the information will be disseminated. We will make sure information flows right down to the grassroots.
So this committee is not just welcome, it doesn't end there.
Well, our role per se is that we've been asked to host Prime Minister Modi to meet the Indian diaspora and the Ugandan community in Uganda.
Okay.
And we were given this mandate, which we are organizing. But then as you go across the road, you learn that you want to see so much coming up, and obviously some of the emphasis that the committee has been giving is that we would like the government to consider, like my brother Sanjay has said, tourism. If you look at the Indian tourism growing, and if you go and see their hospitality, if you go to an Indian hotel, they'll pamper you. It's like going to Far East. It's ranked as I think number 4 or number 5 in the world. And the Indian tourists now have grown. The numbers have grown. And they're growing. In the past, there was just local tourism. But now, international tourism by the Indians. And it grows. And when they come, it's not a family. They come as a whole clan.
I've seen that. I've seen that. Travel with Indians anywhere else, they don't just come as Sanjay Tana. It is
the whole family.
Yes,
the whole clan.
We can tap into this.
Whole clan,
It would be
yes.
great numbers for
now
us.
Imagine if we had just 300,000 of those tourists every year. You could see the tourism industry
Big
here.
difference, yes.
We are laughing, you create another wealth for the Ugandan community here.
Yes, so the committee, before we wind up, you have sorted inclusion, transparency, all these issues have been sorted as we were hearing. Everyone is working with everyone. You've said also the Ugandan community, so everyone is included in this discussion?
Yes, you were right, and I think there was a meeting called and there was that inclusion done. And now I think we're moving as one under their leadership. Of course, we have co-chairs. and Pratibha is doing very well as our chair.
Yeah.
And I think many of the communities now feel they own the function, and we hope to see the best. And it's all communities. It's like all communities. Yeah.
And
Yes,
let me
you were
assure you, transparency. You spoke of transparency.
Yes.
Listen. Our first and foremost commitment to the sponsors and the people who asked us to do this, we said we will work in a transparency. We would like to set an example for the other communities.
Yes.
That this community will lead, this committee will lead, and the others will follow. You know, people have got their says, and we are happy. You know, when you criticize me, when I wake up in the morning, I go to the mirror, I might not see the spot here, but when you direct me, Pradeep, there's a spot here, I have to clean the spot up.
Yes.
But right from inception, the first announcement that we did as a committee, that we have to be very accountable to the people.
That's true.
Not only to the donors and the sponsors, but to the community at large. And it's not to the Indian diaspora, but also to the Ugandan community, because the event is taking place here.
Yes.
And we have to set a standard and an example.
Yeah. I hear you. Yes.
We've asked many, like you said, to allow the inclusion. Many of the communities have sponsored this function.
Okay.
So I would also like to take this opportunity to thank some of those sponsors, like Dot Services, Balaji Group, the Madvanis, the Metas, Tembo Steel. The list is quite long, but we are grateful for their support, and like my chairman has said, definitely there is going to be a lot of transparency, and we hope that, you know, we achieve what we have set out to achieve in an amicable manner.
You mentioned that the Prime Minister is online, big digital following. So I'm assuming that these proceedings outside of the transparency will be online as well. So if anyone needs to know anything that has been said or done, they can actually check on there. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And that's it for Morning at 10 TV. Have a good day.
Thank you.